Hey guys, how are you? Jamie here with Adirondack Mountain and Stream, and it is getting to be mid-July. This is actually, in this video, going to be one of our first Q&As. We were starting to get quite a few questions. We're going to try to start doing this right around the first of every month, but we decided we wanted to get something out. Excuse me, we wanted to get something out there. So we're going to start with some of these questions so they don't just keep building up on us. All right. So we appreciate people taking the time to send us some of this stuff, so here we go. All right, David sent in a question on deer hunting, and one of his questions was, how has deer hunting changed since I myself have been in the guiding business? I guess I've been doing this now going on 35 or 36 years. I started guiding back in the early 80s. And probably some things that I feel like have changed in the sense of deer hunting itself would have to be how the industry's changed, like some of the equipment and clothing lines that we see. I'm just going to use a few names like Sitka, Kuiu, some of those kind of things that have just, that stuff really didn't exist, okay, when I first got started. There was camouflage type patterns and stuff like that, but that was definitely a big one. Some of the first stuff that was coming out was, the real tree and stuff like that. But when I first started, you were happy and glad to have, a good pair of wool pants and good boots, and off you went. So I would have to say that is definitely one thing how I feel that, hunting has changed. GPSs, a lot, that's kind of changed as to how people travel around in the country, in the backwoods and all that. So without getting too whatever, I'm going to say technology, the internet, stuff like that, that's a big deal. There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of information, a lot of how-to stuff. So I'm going to say clothing lines and technology. That's probably one of the things that I feel, and certain attitudes and everything, but those are couple big ones as to how I feel things have changed since I've been around. Also, we had a question here from David. Another one was, what are some of my favorite sport shops in the Adirondacks? And I like any place that serves beer and pizza, and you can still buy equipment. I'm just kidding. Probably because of where I live, shops that I definitely like to stop at. And once again, I've got a lot of places. I guess it depends on where I'm going, but I really enjoy like the Mountaineer shop. We've done a lot of stuff. Fish 307. A clothes shop that we have here that's a great shop is the Crossroads in Chestertown. Those are a few things that are really close to me that, and there's a lot of others, but I would say those are definitely some shops that we frequent. I do have one other question. Should we take the time to try to answer one more? All right, here we go. One more question from Greg was, how do I narrow down deer hunting areas, food sources, like how do I narrow it down new areas? So when I look at a new area, a lot of times we're looking at large tracts of land. Now obviously the smaller the land and everything, but when I look at large pieces of land that could be hundreds and hundreds of acres, 1,000 acres, we might walk 3 miles in, and now it's something relatively new, obviously scouting, but I try very hard. I study maps, and I'm always looking for how I can break up that country initially, and that is I like mountains and I like water. So, and by that I mean old beaver ponds, lakes. But the more mountainous kind of the country, that's what I tend to like. So I might study the maps and say I want to go look at this country, and studying it. Some areas the food sources are a big deal. It's going to have a real effect on how your deer density is. But some areas we hunt do not have huge deer densities, but I like the lay of the land. Maybe it doesn't get bothered. Maybe it's a little bit tough to hunt, and so then you may have more mature critters that you might hunt on a given time. So we may only hunt some areas in prime time. But how do I narrow it down? I look at maps, I get into the area, and I'm constantly looking for funnels, ledges, creek bottoms, waterways, beaver flows, lakes. How can if we're hunting a given area, how can we funnel game, if you will, to a certain, to a different destination? I look at the types of trees, for laying ground, whether it's, spruce, pine, hemlock, and then how it, lines and hardwoods. And then one thing he was wondering, food sources. Is there beech nuts, which are really fickle here in this part of the country, and acorns, any of those things. I'm going to take all that in consideration. But my first thing is lay of land, and that is how much structure, if you will, is there to the land. And then from there, I just kind of keep putting the puzzle together, and hopefully over a couple few seasons, you feel more and more confident about guiding in those areas and taking people in there. I just try to tear it apart and keep venturing and venturing at least to what's you feel you can. So that's a real quick gist. Guys, we really appreciate your questions. If you feel that your question didn't get answered to the extent you wanted to, just let us know. Keep them coming in. We want to make this a regular thing. We really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. Gets us all thinking, whatever. Guys, thanks for viewing. And hey, remember, get outdoors is good for you.